All right, all right, all right. We are here live for another episode, and I am with Linda from Indie.Fun, and we are about to deep dive what Indie.Fun is doing. If you've been like hiding it somewhere, like this is the time to pay attention because Indie.Fun has been revolutionizing how fundraising works for a lot of these indie companies that are very much looking to get started. What's that first step to be able to become a game developer and get some funding to be able to keep getting the idea and the dream and making sure that this idea and dream now turns into something that everybody can now either enjoy, play with, touch, whatever it is that really kind of takes the gaming and the gamer experience, but at the same time, building in public. So without further ado, I got Linda from Indie.Fun. Linda, how you feeling today? How's the vibes? What's going on? Tell me, talk to me.
Yeah, vibes are good. Been having a good time seeing all the cool things that you guys are doing, but also what's happening in the industry and, having some fun. Ton of fun games coming through and been trying out and talking to a bunch of our projects that are launching. So it's been good. It's been a good day.
Yeah, I love it. Congratulations, right? Like I know that like Indie.Fun has been, you guys been like definitely quite some time to get to where you are today, right? And now you're really seeing like that success, like more people are reaching out to you guys. You guys are probably like now bombarded with like DMs of like, hey, how does this work? And what's the right steps and the process? But talk to us about that. Like talk to us like what that process looks like for somebody that's coming to Indie.Fun, is looking for fundraising. What's ideal? Like when is it the right time to talk to you? Is it when you're more early stage? Is it when there's a product? Like what do you see is the perfect, like if there is that perfect dream client, what does that look like?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we have projects all over. We have projects that have just started out and all they have is an idea and a dream. And then we have projects that have something built out and they're looking for help just because right now the fundraising environment kind of sucks for gaming. And so they're having trouble fundraising from traditional investors or whatever it might be. So we have projects all over, but generally what I say is, even in Web 2, right, indie game devs are kind of ignored by the industry. So if you're an indie game dev that, is having trouble maybe just getting funding or just having trouble getting an audience, this is one way to be able to kind of kickstart that and get a community growing early on, getting people to pay attention to your project.
Yeah, no, I love that because I think like we definitely see some great ideas and Web3 technology could be something that like, again, could spark some sort of unique experience within the game, right? Because blockchain isn't sexy to talk about. I say this all the time. Blockchain is just like not a sexy word, right? And like I always like refer to like, cell phones, and it's like no one says, hey, can I use the NFC here? And they're like, what? It's like, hey, can I use Apple Pay or Samsung Pay? And then they're like, yeah, we take Apple Pay and Samsung Pay. And it's the same thing in gaming. It's like no one's saying, hey, like blockchain? Is this blockchain enabled? Is it, but there are things that blockchain can make the experience better, right? Just like cell phones are so easy. I don't even know where my wallet is because I don't even know the last time you had to even bring a wallet because I just use my phone everywhere I go and I tap to pay. And so like, I know that experience has improved. Talk to us about what do you from the Indie.Fun side that you're seeing from game developers coming to the door and saying, hey, we have this idea, but why is it that blockchain could change this game experience? Why is it that blockchain can make, hey, this could be the next viral moment?
Yeah, there's all different types of things that blockchain unlocks, but it's funny because I talked to a lot of Web 2 game devs, and all of them are just like, oh, crypto sucks, I don't want to deal with it, all of that, right? And how I present it to them is, listen, at the end of the day, blockchain is just a technology. And it's kind of one of the only technologies where people go out and say, like, I am a Web3 game, but you don't really see people saying, like, I'm a Unity game or I'm an Unreal game or Godot game, right? Like, unless they're in the circles. And so it's one of those like only places where you see people start with what technology they're using versus having that just be a factor in what they're doing. So that's number one. Number two is for Web2 game devs, I present it as, you can think of a token as just a currency. And one of the things that really bothered us as a platform for building games before Asmodio is, when you're a game dev, and let's say you're building a game on Roblox, you have to use the Robux currency because, so you get an audience out of it, but you must use their currency. And so when you think about it, do you actually own your game if you're forced to use someone else's currency? And we thought no, and we wanted to give game developers true ownership by allowing them to say, hey, I'm launching a currency, and this currency can be used across all the different games, all the different projects I have, but now I can truly own my game. And that's one big unlock among many that Web3 gives.
Yeah, I think you bring up like the greatest points there, right? Because I think that Web2 developers are still very much trying to figure out what this is, right? And look, I think we're all still trying to figure out what this is, right? Because we haven't seen a game have a flushed out economy, a fleshed out marketplace, a flushed out, system and pass and economy that all kind of connects together, that has one wallet, that doesn't have to connect to like 5 different other wallets, that doesn't have to like, go to an exchange to get the token, to get to the like, my God, right? Like people say like, oh yeah, we were advancing. It's like now Google, like, sign-ons. And I'm like, yeah, it might be Google sign-on, but you still have to do like certain more steps to even still get into the game. So I think that people forget, what that let's just say right way of an experience is for a player to be onboarded into a game. And I think like, again, we're still very much. So you're talking to a lot of these Web2 developers. You mentioned a lot of these conversations that you're having. Is there something right now that's like out of the box, like that you guys are saying, hey, like this is the structure, this is how it should be? And are you working with partners for like infrastructure partners as well, like to help them with education and like help them with tooling? Because I think that I'll say this as a Web2 guy, right? I think Web3 game developers are at a disadvantage in in gaming because they have to build the game and also have to build blockchain and like the technology and everything. And so it's funds that and to build is expensive. It's not cheap. It's funds that could have gone to the game, and it's things that could have changed the game, if anything, if they had the funds. So is there things like, I think that might be what's advancing of, if anything, like a lot in Web3 is that there's more out of box solutions. But is there something that you guys are seeing that are saying, hey, these are great starter packs, or hey, this is a structure, hey, how to look at the blockchain and how to look at like the way to properly run the startup indie game?
Yeah, definitely. So I mean, obviously on our side, first of all, we make it easy because you can launch a token with just a couple clicks. So on that side, we've already simplified the process for creating this quote unquote currency. So that's one piece. After that, we've actually built out other features, which we haven't really talked about yet, but they are things that we're starting to talk to our projects about. Like, so we have a feature called Indie Pay, which actually allows creators to take their tokens and integrate it into their games very easily. So it's kind of a one, not quite a one click, but something like a one click integrate this token into your game as well. And so we try to simplify that process for them. And in terms of partners, obviously, we launch our liquidity pools to Radium. We have Phantom wallets. We have Privy wallets. So we do try to make all of that kind of easy for Web2 game devs. So they don't really have to think about it. It's just already there. They don't need to worry about it. And therefore, when they launch their game, just all that stuff is easy to do. And if they have questions, because we already have these relationships with these people who are building in the industry, we just kind of introduce them. And of course, like guys like you who are able to guide them in terms of marketing and awareness and leading the industry, of course, like you guys too, where we kind of send them your way and say, hey, at least talk to Solana Gaming and see what it's about and be part of the community. So we definitely try to help our partners as much as possible, because we know that it is a big unknown, right? They just want to build things. They don't want to do the other stuff.
Yeah. No, I think, I always ask the question because I think like we are seeing a lot more infrastructure and out-of-box solutions. And it's great to hear about IndiePay, right? Because I think, again, like these are the type of things that could help expedite as well, like for fundraising, right? Because fundraising is just another thing. Like I came into the space, 4 or 5 years ago, and I was helping games fundraise. And I used to be like, man, there's got to be a better solution to receive money. Like it can't be like, hey, I'm going to send you USDT. And it's like, oh, that wallet only takes USDC. And it's like, oh, we just sent $100,000. And it's like, oh, yeah, well, it's in outer space now and we don't know. It's living on the blockchain. So I think like, yeah, it's great that, you guys are finding other solutions, ways to help this. All right, let's deep dive into Indie.Fun, right? I think I was on your website. I was checking you guys out. You guys have a lot of games. Like I was like, oh my God, like this is insane how many games there are right now. I was looking at all the things that you have up and coming, from the Play Moonies, everything that you guys have coming. Dragon Sanctuary featured upcoming, all these games. Like talk to us about right now the pipeline. How does that look like? Is it one game a week that you guys are gonna be like? How does that whole structure work? I'd love to like deep dive into that.
Yeah, I mean, the games that you see on this site are just a fraction. We have a pipeline of a bunch of different games that we're talking to. And, we try to be pretty hands-on right now with our projects, where just in terms of, ensuring that they understand how this industry works. Because again, some of these guys, like they don't really know how to market. They're just devs. So on our side, we do try to, just get them to understand like, hey, this is how you create a page. This is how you, do all these things. So that being said, again, this is just a small portion of the games that are coming out. We would love to get to a regular cadence of games launching, call it every single day, every single week. That really is our goal. But as of now, I don't want to rush them. Like this is their project. This is their baby. We're just here to help as much as we can. So there's a lot of games coming.
Yeah, I'm even like going through some of these games and checking them out, and like it's like I'm like a little kid right now at the arcade center, like going through some of these titles and just kind of like seeing what's coming and what's next. So how many games have already like launched? Is there kind of like an approximate of how many games already launched?
Yeah, we've had about more than 40 projects launched now.
Oh wow, congrats. That's awesome. Oh my God. And are you seeing some sort of like the volume and like are you like how are you guys kind of like what's been like the coolest part of like the 40 games that you have launched? Like how have you seen that growth, and what's been like something you guys are like, this works kind of thing?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the biggest thing that I've seen is the evolution of these projects. When we first started, I mean, obviously no one knew us. And so, we were getting games coming through, but they were, call it easier to understand, simpler, right? And then now the games we're seeing are, we're seeing some AAA games coming through. I mean, Dragon Sanctuary has a beautiful looking trailer and everything. So we are seeing, and Gore Cats too, they, these guys are Emmy award-winning, BAFTA award-winning team. So just the quality of these projects are coming through, are just getting better and better, which is amazing for us to see. We're so excited. And, it's really up to us to ensure that we have an audience that is excited about these projects just like we are. But yeah, the quality of it has just continued to increase.
Yeah. I was even like checking out some of the games and like their pages, right? Like Moonies and like this kind of strategy game that they got coming up. And yeah, just checking out some of the art. And I was like, man, this is like, really, really cool. It's great to see like the innovation. It's great to see like the creativity. It's good to see like, the way that they're building. I like hats off to these indie devs, right? That are just like literally bootstrapping and like, building something. And then again, you're coming in and being able to say, hey, how do we help, right? I mean, I think I looked at Dragon Sanctuary as well and like checking out their art and like their animations and like, man, again, like, I think it's really, really cool to see. I even checked out the Gore Cats and I was like checking out what they're building and I'm like, man, this is just, again, nostalgic feelings of some of the games from back in the day. And it's like, the pixel, type games and everything like that. Like, man, I think it's like, look at the art with the guns and everything. I think it's really, really cool the way they showed off a lot of this stuff. And I think like it's the first step for what you guys are building. What's part of like the roadmap that you guys are building right now? Like this is great. You guys have a great foundation. There's the iteration to all of it. It's working, proof of concept, everything. What's next for you guys as you guys keep building? I know you guys even have like sister or brother companies or parent companies that also are helping very much within the indie dev games that you guys have built.
Yeah. So obviously we started off as the company, I mean, not started off, we still are the company as Modio, which started off being a game engine, just a multiplayer browser game engine that made it super, super easy to make games. We're actually building out, and we've talked about a little bit, vibe coding for Modio. And soon you'll be able to just put in a prompt and make a game. And this is exciting because obviously now it's making it even easier for these indie game devs to get started and trying to, that first step is just making a game at all, right? Mm-hmm. So that being able to help them there and then being able to help them fundraise and being able to help them become true indie game devs, that's a very, very exciting space for us. And then some people know we have another product called fullmetal.ai. So fullmetal.ai is our AI platform. And we allow people to deploy swarms of independent AI agents into games. And the reason why we do this is it does, increase how people are able to play games. So for example, with multiplayer games, if no one else is in the game, you as a player aren't going to stick around. And so we can help to solve that problem by ensuring this player liquidity is always there within the games. And it also, I think we actually talked about this on a space yesterday, where, there's Web3 degens and then there's gamers. And these are two different audiences. But, there's a way that we can actually bring them together using AI, because now you have the players who want to play the game and then the degens who don't actually want to play the game. They just want to, maybe make some money or do whatever, right? So we're able to allow these degens to say, hey, I want to deploy agents into games and play on my behalf, so I don't need to play. And now players are happy because there's always other players. And these degens are happy because, hey, they're competing without actually having to have the skill or necessary requirements to play. So those are just some of the things that we're working on. And we have a lot more coming up the pipe.
I love that, first of all, that aspect of it. But I think the other aspect of it is, when you're building, it's very much needed to have feedback and understand what's working, it's what's not working. And I think having the AI agents allow you to be able to understand the bugs, understand the dynamics, understand the experience, understand that data, right? Like what's working and what's not working for them. And I think as players, like even like the behaviors of the players is probably the most important thing. And I think AI agents, like AI and everything that it's happening right now is, my God, it's at a different stage where, I always say this, Web3 has always had this issue with understanding what the audience is, because I always tell people in Web3 gaming, everybody's a play tester. You're not really playing a game yet, right? Because you're in alpha beta builds, right? And the issue a lot of the times you see on socials, the FUD that you see is because they're constantly comparing it to a game that's been polished. And it's like, man, you're in year 3 of a build. Like, sure, maybe you want to see more things and you expect more, but I think we all know this, building games takes a long, long time, and building good games takes even a longer time. But I think that where I'm going with this is that because of all that, AI could really definitely help and speed up the process of understanding this, and also help understand the audience and say, hey, you're a playtester, and this is how it's working. But when we become like, when the game is fully launched and it's fully released, this is going to be the experience that we've learned from this. And I think that if you want to say building in public, this is the type of way to really build the community, but build like aficionados, right? People that are just passionate like about what that game is, passionate of like whether they want to like buy into or whatever it is into that game, and even expand even further within the game and the ecosystem. So I think it's just beyond really, really cool to be able to talk about it, but be able to see it as well, because that just takes it to a whole different level.
Yeah. I mean, everyone talked about AI agents, I think, whatever, 6 months ago, and everyone was so excited for it. But I feel like there was still a use case that was missing. And gaming is perfect for AI. And then I think everyone in gaming knew it, but everyone outside of it kind of like poo-pooed that fact. And now I think we're going to start seeing people this time around actually believing that AI and gaming can go together. And there's so many different use cases. Just like you said, there's also that idea of training, that idea of being able to test things, play test, and then being able to learn from it. That's also important to game dev. And, I think people are going to start paying attention to it pretty soon.
Yeah, I think that like so we talked a little bit about like AI and everything. What else on the roadmap is there to share about Indie.Fun that no, if you want to leak alpha, you can. No, don't worry. It's not a recorded space. It's live. But I mean, I think like I'm really now piecing a lot in my head of like, okay, became a foundational support. You have also help with AI. You also are helping with marketing. You're also helping, again, connecting the audience. But it seems like this is just like the foundation from what I'm already seeing. I mean, I could, I'm gonna have to talk to you offline of where my head is going, because I'm like, whoa, I was like, man, you could really be exploring, I look at like crowdfund, and everything that happens in the web 2 space, right? And how that these tools and these advertising and all this stuff starts like kicking in. And it's like, this is why that something like that is very successful. Talk to us a little bit about that roadmap for Indie.Fun going into the second half of the year.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, at the end of the day, our North Star is the projects that are launching on our platform, and we listen to them. So the reason why we built Indie Pay as an example is because we were hearing this problem from projects of, cool, I launched a token, help me do it. What's the next step? And I said, okay, well, if you launch a token, you got to integrate it into your game. Oh man, how do I do that? What do I have to do? Like, how do I get a smart contract? How do I get it audited? All of these things. And all of a sudden we realized, okay, this might be a pain point. And there's been several different pain points like that. I can't give too much away right now just because we're still looking at what makes sense. But there's several different pain points that our projects have said, hey, I want to do this specific thing. What do I do next? And that's an opportunity for us to say, well, either number one, there's already a partner out there that you can work with that does it. And if we see there isn't, okay, well then is that something that we should build in-house so that it makes it easier for you guys? So right now we're just following what our projects are telling us. And that really is, I think, the best way to ensure that we have that product market fit.
Yeah, no, that's great to hear. And it's good to like, I always think it's great that you're already planning ahead and you kind of already have some of the things like, the Miro board with like a bank of things that you're like, okay, we heard this. Hey, this is working. This isn't working. Because you'd be surprised how many times feedback gets taken and it doesn't like get like iterated. And especially in Web3, like feedback is probably the most important, because you have to listen to the user. Like you have to. Like so many game developers that I talk to that don't want to listen to the user. And I'm like, yeah, when you launch the game, you're going to have no product market fit. And they're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, you didn't listen to the users, like why what their behaviors and what they wanted. And like, when you launch the game, no one's going to want to play it because of these things. And it's like, oh yeah, you're right. So it's great to hear that like you guys are very much thinking outside the box. Okay. Again, we talked a little bit about the second half of the year. We talked about, how you're building it. Let me ask now, like games after they launch, they're on the platform. What's next for them? Like how like married you guys get? And like, is it like after the launch, it's like, hey, you're now a child and you have shoes and you could go run on your own? Or is it like, hey, yeah, we're always here for you. Like mom and dad are here. Like, maybe when you turn 18, you have to move out of the house. Like, what's that relationship? How does that look like for them?
Yeah, I mean, on our side, we always want to be available. That, as I said before the fundraise, we do we're as involved as projects want us to be involved, right? Some projects say, "Hey, I really have no idea what to do next," and we have a good idea of what our audience is looking for, so we can help them in terms of deciding, how to talk about their narrative in a way that really resonates with their audience versus some of these game devs come in and all they want to do is build and they don't care about marketing at all. And as marketing people, we know how important that message can be. And then post launch, same thing. As we're as involved as projects want us to be. There's definitely still projects that we speak to that ask us, hey, we're thinking about doing this. What do you think? What and I mean, at the end of the day, we're just one more voice to be heard. So nothing we say should be 100% what you do. But
Mhm.
I think it is helpful for us having seen so many projects and seen what is successful. I think they do value our feedback there, and we do try to support them if they're asking for it. So yeah, I think very much that parents, we're here if you need us, but if you don't need us, that's also okay. And if we can talk to our relationships in the space, and if they want introductions, we're more than happy to do that as well.
Yeah, and hopefully they're not that child that doesn't listen to their parent, right?
Yeah,
'Cause,
yeah.
I mean, we all know that,
Sometimes we
right?
get that too, but at the end of the day, there's only so much we can do. If they don't want to listen to us, then they don't want to listen to us. And that's, we can't do anything about that.
Yeah, no, that's awesome to hear. I think it's always good to hear as well, like, what type of support there is, because I think, look, I think as building in this space, it's very, very much hard. Hey, do I have to be on a Spaces every day, a live
Yeah,
stream? Do I have to be living on Twitter? Should I go look at other social media outlets, Instagram, Facebook gaming,
yeah,
LinkedIn, Twitch, YouTube? Man, like the list of like social platforms that exist in this world are just insane. And I hats off to anybody that is like hitting it in every single cylinder, because man, the manpower, the amount of time and effort to do all that, it's a lot, right? And I think, like, again, we're very much small still, and how do we even evolve, right? And I think A, the language issue we have, the B, the crypto scam issue that we have of like the
yeah,
stigma, right? It's like,
yeah.
man, we have all these like steps like that we have to keep climbing to be able to get to the top. Okay,
If I
with
can actually add really quickly, that one thing I think that makes us unique too is Mario was a Web 2 project, right? So we've gone through this ourselves. So it's not just, hey, we've seen the projects go through it. We ourselves have had the experience of building a platform, trying to find product market fit, figuring out how do we talk to our audience, how do we do marketing. And so all of the things that we talk about comes from a very genuine place of we did this ourselves, guys. So use our experience
mm,
to make your projects better. And then what's great on our side is now we see, hey, did this work for you guys as a project? And now we can then help other projects say, hey, this tactic worked, this one didn't. So it's all these experiences coming together.
I love the fact that you're talking about resumes and experiences, right? Because in Web3, right, that is very something that gets taken a little too lightly. And I think
Yeah.
finally now today we're now in the world of, hey, what is it that you like did before, and like what's your resume and like experience, and like you start asking these questions that 5 years ago, again, when I was in the space, coming in and helping out with investments and everything, I would come to the table and I say, okay, I have your pitch deck, but I don't have like your data room. I don't have like resumes. I don't have like financial projections and the business plan. And being literally on like these Google Meets, and it's like deer in the headlights. Like they'd just be looking at me like, what do you mean you need my resume? What do you mean you need this? And it's like, yeah, like, who are you? Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Like, are you? And it's like, back then it was okay, but now today it's like, all these things are being asked and questioned, and it's great because like you want to make sure you're working with somebody that
Yeah.
could actually help you and has the experience and has been built and understand the tribulations of what you're trying to go through, so that it's
Yeah.
not new for them and not new for you either. So hats off to you of being able to say, hey, like, we've tried this. We're actually like part of the Web 2 and coming into the Web 3 curious person, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's the industry is maturing, right? It used to be, hey, you could get away with just being nobody, and everyone's just going to believe you as a name on a screen. And now we're starting to see people. I liken it to when the internet first started. I remember that, everyone had their own screen names and no one never give out, ASL, anything like that. And now it's nope, here's my Facebook, here's my Instagram, here's my Twitter, everything about me. You can stalk me and find out where I live. And that's seen as that as the correct way to do things. So I think we're starting to go through that evolution now as well in Web3. Not quite to that extent, but getting there.
Yeah, yeah. That's awesome to hear. So you're working with a lot of games, indie devs. What's the genre of games that you're seeing? Is it all really browser as well? Is it like different platforms, or any of them like saying PlayStation, Nintendo, Xbox? Cloud gaming is a future as well. We're hearing a lot about it, right? AR as well could be something we talk about. But as you work with a lot of it, is there a genre as well? And then is there like, hey, where do they want to build as well? Like mobile, mobile being like one of the, again, biggest in its space, and understanding that, like, what's coming to a lot right now?
We're seeing everything. We've got browser games, we've got Steam games, we've got uh even guys are trying to go on console, PC, and we've got mobile games too. So it really is everything. And a big part of that has made me realize, like, wow, Web3 really has evolved quite a bit. I will say one thing that, just to think about is on mobile side, unfortunately, the Google stores and Apple stores, they still don't accept crypto. So, for a lot of developers there, they have to figure out, okay, if I am a quote unquote crypto game, how do I integrate that in? And I actually think that is it where innovation happens, because going back to what I said at first, it means that you're not necessarily a crypto game. You are a game that utilizes crypto, right? And so I am super interested to see what's happening in mobile. Obviously, that's where a lot of players are too. So I think that industry still has a lot of space to grow.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a time out for a second, because you kind of I have two questions. My first one is more of a statement, just to let you know, Linda. This is a Solana gaming live stream by Solana, who also has a Seeker phone, who also has a Solana
Yes.
mobile phone that has a DApp store that's featuring so many mobile games building on Solana. So there is a phone out there. There's a phone that's going to save all of this. We're going to be competing with the Google and the Apple, and it's all built on Solana. So just giving you that commercial break.
Yep.
I
got to start telling projects to build on Solana. I think that is the next step.
Yeah. We need any game that's coming on Indie.Fun and they're saying mobile. We have to tell them they have to be on a Seeker phone, or else we won't take them.
Yeah.
Seeker, if you're listening to us, right? Solana Mobile, if you're listening to us, slide into our DMs. Free commercials here. Anyways, I think my second question, right, is, okay, you kind of mentioned, what you're seeing of the genres and, again, where they want to build. And I think, like, it's important to understand it as well. And it's important to understand these conversations. But I think, like, for me, it's also trying to understand, like, where do we see the mass adoption happening, right? Like, where do we see that, like, gonna be, right? Is it again, could it be these mobile games? Could it be the trade card strategy game? Could it be the whatever that is, right? As you kind of have mentioned, the reason it sparked it is because you mentioned, again, crypto gaming, right? And I think that if you zoom out, and there's this East versus West issue of, hey, we call it GameFi. Hey, we call it crypto gaming. Hey, I call it blockchain gaming. Hey, I call it Web3 gaming. Like, we don't even know what kind of gaming we call it, right? But as you're approaching and you're talking to these founders, and you're hearing, it's like the language is very much important to understand to the audience, because you'll know quickly, these guys will be able to speak to that gamer. Is there something you guys are kind of like, ooh, like that's kind of like sparking those, like, electricity in your brain? You're like, ooh, this is cool to hear and see.
Yeah. Oh man, that is such a good question. I mean, I think really where Web3 can take advantage of Web3 and what it offers is in building an audience right away, right? So uh, part of the issue in Web2 gaming is all these games are coming out and it's really difficult to stand out right now. And so the number one issue that we're hearing in Web2 gaming is like distribution, fundraising, and distribution, right? So how do you stand out among the 5,000 other games that are also launching today as an indie game dev, or even as a AAA game? So I think one thing that really can make crypto games stand out is by using the audience that comes with Web3. Web3 gamers tend to be much more open to all different types of games. Like, they don't care if it's mobile, they don't care if it's PC. They don't necessarily care about the tokenomics right away. They might care about it after they start playing a little bit. And so they're more willing to experiment and more willing to stick with a game that they believe in, right? And so I think being able to utilize that engagement and being able to utilize a very unique user acquisition places games in this really cool spot of, hey, I can have play testers. Hey, I can have people playing my game right away, talking about my game, marketing it. Let me use this to make my game better. And then when I do, advertise it to a bigger audience, get it on Discord games, get on YouTube games, get onto Netflix, or, all these other channels now that are open. I've already tested with this core group of gamers that are so believing of my game that they've stuck with me. So that's just something I want to call out in terms of something unique that Web3 presents that helps with bringing it to Web2. Now, to your question about how can people best utilize these tools, I mean, I think there's a lot of different things that make Web3 gaming unique. And that can be used in Web2, going back to that idea of like having a currency and having NFTs and having ownership. And these make unique games that in Web2, I think it just people, it goes back to my idea of not necessarily going out with it's crypto first. It just is a game that uses crypto, and it uses crypto because it makes things easier. So I think that, there's a lot of different ways to market, but I'll kind of stop there.
Yeah, no, I think like again, first of all, I think it's A/B testing all of this stuff, right? Because we don't know what's actually going to work, right? I think it's actually one of the things as a marketing guy, I always say like, all right, can we do like 10 different strategies? And like, like I show up to the table and they're like, wait, what? 8, 10 we're like, no. And I'm like, yeah, like we got to know where that user like really like hooked on and like what they really liked and what they didn't like. And like, can this work and can it work? So I love that you guys kind of again, like you guys are very much thinking. Shout out to somebody in the crowd saying we also got PSG-1, and that's true. There's a mobile devices. I mean, there's a handheld device, right, that is bringing a lot of Solana games onto these handheld devices, and that's just really cool. Again, I think like Solana, man, like I had this discussion even a couple days ago with somebody who was looking at Solana, and I was just like, have you ever explored outside of gaming what Solana is? And they're like, yeah, a little bit. And I'm like, I don't know if you really have, because like there's a massive amount of products that are hitting market and that are doing really, really well, hitting the market and bringing audiences in. And it's like, you have things like this, like PSG-1, you have the mobile phones. We have so many things that, right? I mean, all the news that Solana has been in the past couple of weeks, this is the way that things have been moving forward. And that's why I'm very much bullish on not only having Solana here, but even in gaming, right? Because gaming is such an intersection for so many products, especially on Solana, that you could find ways to say, okay, like this could actually work for gaming. And like you mentioned before, like, hey, this could be the start of gaming, and this could help. And as we keep exploring, if you really think about like products in general, everything is gamified. Everything is some sort of a gamified way. And if it's like, man, what if that gamified approach was actually being able to be on chain, right? And like more of the behaviors, but also financial incentivized the correct way. And that's where I'm like, man, like I'm having those like moments where I'm like, whoa, like where's the future going to be at? And like, what can we do? And I think like it's really cool to hear like, where you guys are and like how you guys are looking at it, because like, man, like, I want to have this conversation with you again in like 6 months to see like where Indie.Fun is and like what you guys are innovating and how you guys are working and what other partners you guys are getting involved with, because I'm assuming also partners are seeing Indie.Fun right now and saying like, ooh, we better like get our foot in the door. Like, I got to get on a call with Linda and like, yeah, like I'm not launching I don't have a game, but I have this product or service that could help these games and start building like, I say this, right? And I think I've said this publicly if I haven't, like, one of the things with Solana gaming is really much building right now is like the CRM, right? Like this database, this like center where a game developer, a gamer, an aficionado, a KOL creator, anyone could really come to this like website and just have like all the information pertaining to Solana gaming, but pertaining to partners, pertaining to who you need to talk to, because that's that bridge that I find that constantly that we're looking to solve. And so again, it's just like, again, Indie.Fun being that bridge again, that's helping indie game developers with funding, but beyond funding, as we just spoke for the past 30, 40 minutes about what else Indie.Fun has. Linda, I know we got like a couple minutes before I know that like hard stop here, but 2025, big year ahead, things are coming. What are you doing in the fact on a sense of getting these games on Indie.Fun? You personally, how are they coming and contacting you and saying like, is there like a form they need to fill out? Is there something that they need to know, like that you want to let them know, like, hey, how do I best prepare my DM to Linda? Like, if I'm about to send this DM to you, like, what is it that I need to have? Like, it shouldn't be a hey, and then that's like, and then you have to respond, hey, and then it's like, how are you? Then you respond, how are you? No, it should be like, hey, I'm Jorge. I'm building this type of game. This is where I'm at. I have a white paper. I have a pitch deck. I have a prototype. I think that the economy could work this way. What's the best way to send that DM to you?
Yeah. I mean, Twitter DM, indie.fun is the best way to reach us. And, we look at all those messages. Definitely agree. Don't start with, hey, just tell us what your project is. And, we have people reaching out who have never really used Twitter. So they have 0 followers. That's totally fine. But if you don't have any information on Twitter, that means that I need to know what you're building. So just give us a little bit of information about what you're building or what your idea is. And, we even have done some brainstorming sessions with some of these devs where we sit down and say, hey, this idea is kind of doesn't really make sense. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? And again, it's not, you don't have to listen to us, but because our team is a bunch of game devs, so, we have a lot of experience in the space. We have a lot of players. So I'd like to think that we have some experience with what might work and what doesn't. But also, check out the games that are on Indie.Fun itself and just see how how are they talking about their game? Obviously Dragon Sanctuary coming out soon. How are they talking about their game? Neural Havoc coming out soon. How are they talking about their game versus other folks? So I think that all of that information is just stuff that would help, but you don't have to come at me with a 5-paragraph message. Just say, hey, I'm building this game. This is what it is. Can we connect? And I'd be more than happy to reach out.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love to always ask that question of what's the best way to connect. You'd be surprised in my DMs as well of the way some people want to connect, and I'm always like, okay, like GM, okay, GM back, like, hey, like this, and I'm like, all right, tell me, man, like,
yeah.
Give me the information. Yes, I want to go and look for it as well, but like, you got like 3 minutes of my attention span, and
exactly.
like in the 3 minutes, like before I hop on the next call and I totally forget about this DM, how do I make sure I like bookmark this and never get lost? So I think it's great to always say, what's the best way? I saw also on Indie.Fun quickly as well that you have this XP and I think like you're rewarding even users being on Indie.Fun. Talk to us a little bit about that. Like, how does that like? Why should the viewers right now, go to Indie.Fun and want to participate? Because I think you guys even gamified your approach.
Yes, we are game devs, so we got to gamify our own platform. Yes, we now have a feature where you can earn XP every single time you fundraise for a project or if you trade on our platform for a project. And we haven't quite told people exactly what that XP is for, but trust me, it is going to give some really, really cool benefits that we are keeping a little bit of a surprise right now. But a lot of people have already found out about it and they are trading quite a lot. So I've been surprised at how quickly people have already started doing this. So yeah, go check it out and let us know what you guys think.
Yeah, the alpha is just, you want to leak it, but you don't. I got you. I got you. Look, I respect it. All right, we got a couple more minutes. I want to just kind of give you your last closing remarks. Tell us anything about Indie.Fun, how to find you. You know, we got the Indie.Fun website. We went on it. We know your Twitter, how to send you DMs. Anything else that we should kind of like wrap up with, like that you kind of we maybe didn't hit on, or maybe we'll have to like set up spaces number 2 or session number 2 to keep deep diving.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I just want to give a call out for those projects that are fundraising or fundraising soon, because that is what we're trying to do. We're trying to help those projects. So if you check it out on our site, Dragon Sanctuary coming soon. Definitely check those guys out. Neural Havoc, top-down shooter, check them out. They're coming soon too. Really cool game. I also just want to call for Neural Havoc. They have a really cool song that the creator made himself. He sang it. So I am just blown away by the creativity in the space. I mean, there's other projects like Cred, which is a merchandise, like a brand that is launching as well. So a lot of, am I missing any? Oh man, I want to make sure I'm not missing any. Plotting Isles is also launching soon. They haven't quite given a ton of information about what they're doing yet, but take a look at them. Yeah, this one. But
right, we're gonna have to watch it now because like you can't just tell me like, hey, let's check something out and not check it out. So let's make sure that the audio's coming through first. Hear it?
Robots marching in the night, glowing eyes that pierce the light, circuits cracking under strain, human hearts feel the pain. Beep and blip, the sirens wail, iron fists on digital scales, lines of code that rule the day, human freedom slips away. Silicon dreams fuel the fight, metal armies claim the right. In the shadows, wires hum, mankind left to sockets thumb. Bend on to sockets thumb. Data pulses through the veins, mechanical minds break the chains, synthetic voices in the air, humans caught in cold despair. Beep and blip, the sirens wail, iron fists on digital scales, lines of code that rule the day, human freedom slips away. Screens flash red with warning signs, in the grid all souls confined, motherboards create our fate, human souls disintegrate. Screens flash red with warning signs, in the grid all souls confined, motherboards create our fate, human souls disintegrate.
yeah, a little bit of a long trailer, but hopefully gives you an idea of what they're trying to build.
Let me just say something. I'm gonna end this because I know we gotta go soon. But if you look at gaming as an entertainment business, I think you're gonna go a lot farther. And I think like that's just a great way to segue, right? Because audio, music, all this in games, there's soundtracks. If you look at like most games, there's always the soundtracks. there's segments within gaming, right? That's all entertainment. And so making sure that if you're a game developer, making sure you're thinking outside of gaming, right? Merchandise, music, ways to collaborate, just it goes on, that list goes on. So I think like shout out to those guys that have that. And also, how do I download this thing on Spotify? Because I'm about to go to the gym and I kind of want to get my pump, and I think I found my pump music. So that was really, really cool. Linda, really appreciate you coming on. I loved learning about Indie.Fun. Love learning about everything that's happening within the Indie.Fun ecosystem. And I think we're gonna have to do this again soon because you were like hesitant with the alpha. And so I'm gonna have to DM you to find out when the alpha is gonna be ready to be like released, and we're gonna have to bring you back because you need to tell us the alpha, tell us why we're at the edge of our seats.
Yeah, there's definitely some things coming very, very soon. I want to drop some things, but not quite ready yet. Next time.
All right. I love it. All right, Linda, thanks again for tuning in, and everybody that's been watching, appreciate you all tuning in as well. If you don't have the NFT pass, the game pass, go to Magic Eden, make sure you mint the pass, go to Games GG, complete the quest, and hit the Discord. Make sure you go into the Discord and verify you're a holder. There are some really, really cool things that are happening right now between access to the games, skins to the games, and some great conversations are happening in the Discord right now about gaming, Solana gaming. So head over there, make sure you know what you're doing. Like give that like, give that comment, give the retweet, whatever that is, completely free. Appreciate you all for tuning in. And tomorrow, again, we're back 10 a.m. EST. Make sure you look at the schedule, what we got coming up, because I think it's a spicy week that we have ahead of great game developers building on Solana within gaming that we are just going to be uncovering and having these great conversations. So shout out to everybody that's coming through. And Linda, we'll see you on the next one.
Thanks. Good to see you.